Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen. And tonight, since you stopped by, we're gonna make a meal. We're gonna make a soup. It's colder outside, and to me and my kids also, not so much Chris, soups and stews are good any time of the year. She is more of a, it should be fall to winter type of soup stew person, and that's okay. Takes all types, right? Which kind are you? But tonight we're gonna do a soup. It's a Copycat recipe. It comes from Olive Garden, and the soup is called Zuppa Tuscana, which it translates to soup of Tuscany, and everybody raves about it. I personally never had it. As an adult, I can probably at least count on 1.5 hands of how many times I've eaten at the Olive Garden. Not that it's bad food. We just, as a family, made a conscious decision a long time ago not to eat out a whole lot. I mean, really at all. We cook from home. We eliminate preservatives as much as possible. We don't completely eliminate them because occasionally, you have to have preservatives. It just kind of is the nature of the beast. There are some things that I don't have the room to grow, or a way to process it properly, so there that is. But we try our best not to have that stuff in it. So anyhow, I have never had this soup before, but it is one of their most popular soups on their menu, and I found a ton of recipes for it. All of them are Copycat versions, and this one comes from Natasha's Kitchen. She has a channel that I've been following, I'm subscribed to, and have been for quite some time. She makes some really cool stuff. I've made some of her desserts for her, our family. I've made some of her dinners for our family over the years. So if you get a chance, check her channel out. But this recipe, all the recipes seem to be about the same. There's just like little tweaks here and there. But it's basic. It's got everything it has, you probably have in your kitchen already. That being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. If this is your first video, feel free to check out some of my other ones if you like this one. If you're returning, or you're one of a million new subscribers, not literally a million, but we're over 2,000 now as of the taping of this video, that's incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Let's keep that ball rolling. We could really, we've gained a lot of momentum, so let's be like a juggernaut and just keep her going. That will be awesome. Yep, like, share, subscribe, welcome, thank you. Get something out of it. Comments, always welcome, just be nice. You can disagree, just think before you type, all right? And I love comments. I have managed to respond to all of them so far, and man, have I had a lot of comments. And I'd like to keep that ball rolling. Anyhow, let's get down to the counter. Let's get this thing started and make some soup, all right? Hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, we are down here at the counter. As always, got the recipe in front of me. And this soup, let me tell you about this soup real quick. It has bacon, it has sausage, it has potatoes, onion, garlic, chicken broth, cream. It's got one new ingredient that I'm kind of excited and scared to try all at the same time, that I've never eaten before, but we'll find out. And that's kale. I know, I felt the same way, but we're gonna try it, me and you. We're gonna try it together. So, things you will need: stock pot or a Dutch oven, at least right around 6 quarts, 5.5, 6 quarts. I'm using my 6-quart Dutch oven. First thing we're going to do, I've got my pan warmed up, my Dutch oven warmed up, and I've got 6 strips of bacon. Now, I didn't say thick cut, thin cut. I'm using just regular old thin cut bacon, and I just took it and I just chopped it up. All right, you just want to chop it up into pieces, and we're going to throw this in the bottom of the pan, and we're going to cook it till it's brown. Maybe not burnt, but or not crisp, but done. All right, so we got our bacon is brown. Now, you don't want it to, like I said, I mean, you may want to cook it crispy, but I don't believe you want to. It doesn't say in the recipe. It just says cook it till it's brown. But you got to remember, if you're new to cooking bacon, because nobody really told me ever how to cook bacon. I just kind of figured it out on my own. And I know for the most part, low and slow is not a bad way if you're doing it on the stovetop. And although in this recipe it called for medium-high heat, so that's what we did it on. But it continues to cook is what I was trying to get at. Even after you take it out of the pot or out of your pan if you're making strips of bacon. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this out of the pan or out of this pot, and we're going to stick it on a paper towel. That way the paper towel can soak up some of the grease. And you want to look down in your pot. If you have more than a tablespoon of oil or more of a tablespoon of bacon grease in there, you're going to want to, sorry, I know it's working its way into flames. You want to go ahead and remove some of that oil out of there, some of that bacon grease out of there, but you want to leave about a tablespoon, which is about what I got in there. So the next thing I have is 1 pound of Italian sausage, and we're going to go ahead and get that in there. Yeah, but like I said, we want that oil in there just to, you know, kind of give it a head start, but not too much. And we're going to brown this and crumble it. Okay, so we got our sausage brown, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take it out of the pot here and put it on the plate off to the side with the bacon. It's cooked. Yeah, now, hey, you may have noticed, and I'm sure most of you know this, but I mean, somebody may not. So, hey, but when I, here a minute ago when it was started to smoke, I just simply took the pot off the top of the, or off the oven burner to let it calm down for a second, and I turned my heat down a little bit. Now even though it said to have it on medium high, which I did, I had it at right around 6 on the numbers. It was causing it to smoke, and if your pot or pan is smoking when you're cooking like that, chances are good your heat's just a little too high, and you need to turn it down a little bit. And that's a good note with like bacon. If you're making bacon in the morning for breakfast and you look up and you see your kitchen's full of smoke, turn your heat down a little bit. That bacon will cook. It'll crisp, even on low. If you let it warm up first, it'll crisp that bacon right up, and then as the bacon cooks and it releases that grease, it will continue to cook the bacon even on low. The grease will. Okay, so we got that out of there. All right, so we've got our sausage cooked, we've got our bacon cooked. Got it on the plate and set aside. Next thing I have is 1 finely diced medium onion. All right, and I'm just using a standard yellow onion, and it's cut up real fine, right, into small little pieces. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in here, and then we're gonna let this cook until they're starting to get golden brown and translucent. All right, we are golden brown and translucent. Give me 1 second here, I'll show you what I mean. I'm bringing the pot to you. So if I can get that wrapped around there like that. Okay, see how you got that nice golden brown color and they're starting to go clear. I also want you to take note of the bottom of that pan. See how it's dark? What that is, you can say, oh Brian, that's burnt. No, that is not burnt. That is not burnt at all. That is flavor. And how we're going to get that flavor off the bottom of the pan is really easy. But we have one more thing to add to this before we do that. I have, and you're going to think this is insane, 10 cloves of minced garlic. 1 whole bulb of minced garlic. Now, she talks about this in the recipe online. She says, I know you're thinking that's a lot, but it really doesn't overtake the taste and flavor of the soup. You don't want to stop moving this, and you only want to heat that up for about 30 seconds. Once you start to smell it, which like now I'm starting to smell it, it's good. Any longer than that, it'll start to burn. But now, here's how we're going to get that off the bottom. I have 6 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to pour this in here. I'm going to do it a little slowly in the beginning. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to boil and cook off all that on the bottom. You know, all the crispy good bits and things like that will come off the bottom and add flavor. So that was the first 2 cups, you know, or 1 pint. And then I'll add the other 4 cups of chicken broth, or a quart. So there's a quart and a pint in there. And then to that, we're gonna add 4 cups of water. So we got a total of 6 cups of chicken broth. We've got 4 cups of water. I'm gonna throw that in there. Now what we wanna do is we wanna bring this up to a boil. Okay, so we are now at a boil, right? We are good and boiling. So I have 5 medium russet potatoes, and those potatoes I cut into 1/4 inch thick rounds, and then just chopped them up roughly, you know, as thick or as thin as you want. And we're gonna put those in there, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this cook for about 13, 14 minutes until it's thin. And then we should be okay. We're looking for fork tender on these, which is gonna be, you know, about 13, 14 minutes. Now, when this starts to boil, I have one of my subscribers teach me this in the comments back when we were talking about potato candy. If you put a spoon like that, a wooden spoon over the top of that, as it starts to come back up to a boil again, it won't boil over. It really won't. It's the craziest thing. And why it does that is because the steam coming up hits the spoon and drops back down, keeping the bubbles low, and that acts as a brake. You know, the spoon itself acts as a brake, so when the bubbles hit it, it just collapses them. So anyhow, until they're soft and fork tender, I'll show you fork tender, and then we can add the last handful of ingredients. All right, be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I switched pots. For being a 6-quart Dutch oven, it never holds nearly what I wanted to. I really need to get a bigger Dutch oven. But the recipe did say 6-quart Dutch oven or stock pot, so I just switched over to my 10-quart stock or 12-quart stock pot. So fork tender. All you gotta do is you should be able to take a fork and just slide it on in like that. That is fork tender. It'll go in without applying any pressure, and you don't want it much more than that, or you'll end up with mashed potatoes in your soup. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our sausage that we cooked up earlier, we're going to put that back in there. All right, and with that, we are going to add some kale. Now, I have never had kale. I hear you either love it or you hate it, but I figure if I'm going to try it for the first time in a soup would be the way to go. And I've got 6 cups worth of chopped up kale. It's just chopped up. It does not have the stems in it. And if you're wondering about how much 6 cups is, because I really don't care for recipes, I use them, but they just say 2 cups of this chopped up or 2 tablespoons of this chopped up. Don't tell you really how much it is. If you go to the grocery store, you buy 1 bundle, that's about 6 cups. And what we're going to do is, you'll see that your broth, your liquid quit bubbling, quit boiling. So now we are going to bring this back up to a boil where we've only really got 1 more ingredient to put in. Well, technically 3. The last one's salt and pepper, and that's just to taste. So let's go ahead and get this back up to a boil, and then we can put our last true ingredient in. Okay, we are back up to a boil. So the next thing we're going to do, and we do a lot of bring back to a boil, is, and this is the last real ingredient, and I say real ingredient because salt and pepper to taste. So you don't even have to put salt and pepper in it. You can set it at the table and let everybody put their own in. But it's 1 cup of heavy cream. You can also use milk, but I would use whole milk, or you could probably even use half and half, or a lighter cream. But I want that heavy cream in there because that's going to add that richness, and hold the flavor to it. I can smell it, and if this tastes even a third as good as it smells, we're going to be in business. But we're going to bring that up to a boil. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put my salt and pepper in now. Let's just bring it up to a boil, add your salt and pepper, and then take it off heat. But we're just going to go ahead, and I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon, which is kind of my standard of salt to taste. You may want more salt, you may want less salt. And sometimes Chris hates it, but I just don't use a lot of salt in my food. I like to not have a lot of salt, basically. And we use kosher salt when we cook. That way it enhances the flavor, and it isn't quite as processed. It's not quite as bad for you. So anyhow, we're gonna bring this back up to a good solid boil, and when I come back, we'll take a look at it and maybe try some. Well, we're gonna add two things to it off heat, and then we can try it. So anyhow, I'll be back as soon as this starts to come up to a boil again. Okay, we were up to a boil. We are now off heat. Turn that fan off, and I can show it to you real quick. Maybe right there we are, and I'm here to tell you it smells freaking amazing, and it's pleasing to the eye. So it looks good, it smells good. The last two things we need to put in here, and one of them's optional, but I want to use it. We're gonna add our bacon, but I'm honestly not gonna put all this bacon in here. I'm gonna put about 3/4 of it in there. That way I have a little bit to garnish the top with. You know, you can say, well, why didn't we add that in there during the cooking process? We already had the bacon grease in the bottom of, well, now the first pot that came up into to give us flavor. So we didn't really need that sausage. And this is some of the recipes. It was just a sausage potato soup. This took it, like, kicks it up a notch. And then I've got some Parmigiano Reggiano, which is a really good Parmesan. And hey, we don't buy it very often because it is kind of pricey. But you can buy the shredded or the shaved, and we're just gonna put some of that in there. You know, and it's about half a cup maybe. Put that in there and let that go, and then I've got some sitting to the side, so that way we can let that use it as a topper on our bowls also. All right, well, I'm gonna let this cool for just a minute or two. Actually, you know what? We're not gonna quite do that. What we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and put it in a bowl, and then we'll let it cool. So that way it cools a little quicker, so that way I don't melt my face off. So let's go ahead and get it in a bowl, and we can take a look at it on a little grander scale. Okay, there we are, all bowled up, and that looks absolutely just delightful. So I'm gonna let that cool for a few minutes because right now it is blazing hot. And when I come back, we'll try some of it. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so I went ahead and I got me some more Parmesan and bacon on there on the top. I don't know if you can really see it. The Parmesan's already melted pretty much. So it's still got a little bit of heat to it, but I'm dying to try it. That's warm. Let me get a towel here to put my hands that way. It'll quit burning my hand. These bowls and plates that we've had them for probably 10 years now, 15 years. They pick up and retain heat like you wouldn't believe. So anyhow, let's give this a try because I want to try the kale. I'm kind of excited and nervous, and I just want to see the flavor. That's good. Man, that was really good. I don't even know exactly how to describe it. The garlic is not overwhelming. For being 10 cloves of garlic, you hardly know it's there. I mean, it's got a balance to it. And you've got the potatoes, you know, nice and tender. The kale, not bitter at all. I think if you like greens, you know, like mustard greens or turnip or collard or anything like that, the kale in and of itself cooked, it has the same texture, not quite the same flavor. It's a little bitter, but I think it pairs nicely with it. The only thing I would probably do is maybe put another pinch of salt in the pot, or just sprinkle a little bit on top of your bowl, and I think you'd be in good shape. Yeah. That is a very flavorful. The heavy cream just really helps give it a nice richness, hands down. The sausage, even though it's a hot sausage, is not horribly hot. Now with that, you could also use a mild sausage or a medium grade sausage or just a regular old Italian sausage without any heat at all to it. That's up to you. The recipe just called for a hotter sausage, so that's what we used. But it's not horribly hot. I mean, it's not hot at all. Definitely don't think, other than, like I said, maybe a little more salt, you know, I don't think I'd add anything to it. I don't think I'd take away anything to it. That's a good, really good, quick, easy to make soup. It can be served with like baguettes or an Italian loaf or a simple salad. It could be served with a grilled asparagus would be great if you can find it. I know some places, depending on the season, depends on if you can find it or not. But that would be a good one to have, or just any kind of, you know, even a Brussels sprout for that matter, a roasted Brussels sprout like we had with the steak a couple weeks ago. But give this a try and let me know if you do. Hands down, you won't be disappointed with it by any means. That is a great, great soup, and it's going to fill me up, and it's going to taste good. So tomorrow, for desserts, we're going to do a cookie. I ran across a cream cheese cookie that I think is going to be out of this world, and it's going to kind of kick off cookie season, at least in my house, for Christmas. And for the videos I'm going to do. I've got a handful of videos picked out. I had so many people give recommendations for stuff to try. I'm just going to start battling away at them. We're gonna do a rice pudding one week. I've got these cream cheese cookies. I have got an Italian cream cookie that I want to try. I have a whole list. I have a whole thing written down. Some toffees. I want to do a, now that the weather's broken, it's not really as humid and it's cold out, I want to do some seafoam candy. I want to do some divinity candy, which is very close to seafoam candy. There's just all kinds of stuff. And then we've got our selection of cookies in our playlist. Also, that's got some great stuff in there. But you know, and it's like I want to show you guys how we make our cornflake wreaths. Super simple, fun to do with kids or nephews or nieces or you know whatever your family is. It gives you a chance to spend time together. You know, at the table, having fun, being goofy, decorating candy wreaths, basically any way you want to. But anyhow, tomorrow will be cream cheese cookies. Give this a try. Let me know if you do down in the comments below, or find us on Facebook, Mr. Smith's Kitchen. And it's a group. You don't have to be, there's no questions to answer. It's a free community. You know, the only thing I ask is, much like here, be nice, be civil. We share recipes. You can ask questions. You can share stories, even if they're not food related, just as long as they're decent. If not, I'll block you. That's just what it comes down to. You know, we want to be respectful. But anyhow, give this a try. Till tomorrow for dessert, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and that you love them very much. Today may be the day they really need to hear it, and it's going to make them feel better. It's going to make you feel good to tell them. And if you make them some of this soup, this Zuppa, soup of Tuscany, I guarantee you they're going to love it, and it's going to lead to a nice evening of conversation. So till tomorrow, I love you. I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.